What's up YouTube, Dal here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you a budget version of Cyber Dragons. Now I will also go through a little segment throughout the video of upgrades that you can put in if you do have the money laying around for stuff like Prosperities, Dragoons, and of course Droplets. But with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content from the channel. Every like that you provide this channel, and of course every time you hit the subscribe button, shows how much support you have and allows us to continue to grow. With all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive straight into that budget profile of Cyber Dragons. So for the deck list, we play of course triple Cyber Dragon alongside triple Cyber Dragon Core, triple Cyber Dragon Hers, double Cyber Dragon Nashta, double Galaxy Soldier, one Dino-Wrestler Prankatops, one Jizukuru the Star Destroying Kaiju, triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, alongside double Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. For the spells, we are playing triple Cyber Emergency, triple Machine Duplication, 2 Mystic Mine with a single Terraforming, alongside a Great Art Polymerization, a Harpy's Feather Duster, Reasoning, Cyber Repair Plant, Cyberload Fusion, Overload Fusion, 1-for-1, Foolish Burial, Cyber Rev System, 1 Monster Reborn, and finish up for the single trap of 1 Cybernetic Overflow. For the extra deck, we are playing double Cyber Dragon Infinity alongside double Cyber Dragon Nova. And then for the fusions, we are playing a single Invoked Macabre, a single Chimeratech Fortress Dragon, a single Chimeratech Mega Fleet Dragon, a single Chimeratech Rampage Dragon, alongside a single Salamangreat Almirage, a single Link Karibo, single IP Masquerina, single Predaplant Verte Anaconda, single Cyber Dragon Seizure, a single Nightmare Unicorn, and a single Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. So, starting off with a Cyber Dragon deck, you play triple Cyber Dragon. This is the OG card of if you control no monsters and your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from the hand. In modern day Yu-Gi-Oh, if this was to be updated, it would literally say if you control no monsters, which would make this deck 100 times better because it means that turn 0, you could summon out a Cyber Dragon. The only thing that makes this even better is when these guys become ultis as the dark artwork, because I love the dark artwork. Such a good card, instigates your level 5 plays, instigates your full Cyber Dragon plays, contact fuse, you name it, this card will do it. Then of course you go on to the core card of the deck and gets everything going. It is your Searcher, it is your Rotor, it is your Deneb, and that is of course Cyber Dragon Core. Now what is very important to mention on Cyber Dragon Core is it is treated as Cyber Dragon on the field or in the graveyard, which is really important with Machine Duplication because obviously you target this, it's technically Cyber Dragon on the board with less than 500 attack, which means you can bring out 2 Cyber Dragons off of Machine Dupe. Not to mention that when this card is specifically normal summoned, you get to add 1 Cyber spell or trap from your deck to your hand, so it searches everything you need. Also, if you control no monsters and your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from the graveyard and special summon a Cyber Dragon from the deck. So obviously it's a Cyber Dragon monster as well, which is really important because that means you can bring out your Hers, you can bring out your Nashta. Very, very cool card, gets everything going, and that is why it's your utility card at 3. And then of course we've got triple Cyber Dragon Hers. This one actually you don't want to be normal summoning it, you actually want to be sending it from anywhere to trigger off its effect. So what Hers does specifically is again it becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard, and you can only use one of the following effects once per turn, and only once that turn. If this card is special summoned, you can make this card's level become 5 until the end of the turn, and you cannot special summon monsters from the rest of the turn except machine monsters. If this card is sent to the graveyard, just sent from anywhere, you can add 1 other Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Now this is where the name change becomes important. Now to add from your deck to your hand, you can only add the level 5 Cyber Dragon. But to add back from the graveyard, you can add any monster that becomes Cyber Dragon in the graveyard. So if on turn 2 you were able to send this card, you would actually have the ability to bring back Cyber Dragon Core because it becomes Cyber Dragon in the graveyard. Now, obviously, if it became Cyber Dragon in the deck, you would only be allowed to run 3 copies between Cyber Dragon himself and then, of course, the rest of the cards. So keep that in mind. That's a very important kind of general knowledge kind of factor to keep in mind, that when you look at cards like, I believe it's Fusion Substitute, which counts as polymerization anywhere, you're only allowed to have 3 copies of a particular name card. So if even though that polymerization becomes polymerization in a deck, you can't have that plus 3 polymerizations, because then technically you're playing 4 polymerizations in your deck. The last of the Cyber Dragon monsters themselves is, of course, double Cyber Dragon Nashta. Now, this card is obviously, it was such a core and important card, but now it's less so because of its restrictions and what the deck can now do. So again, its name becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. You can discard one other monster to special summon this card from the hand. If this card is normal or special, you can target one machine monster with 2100 attack or defense in your graveyard and special summon it. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except machine monsters, and you can only use each effect once per turn. Now, one little tech and trick to keep in mind with this is there are actually a lot of machine monsters that have 2100 attack or defense. So specifically, when you look at Invoked Macabre, it has 2100 defense, and then you look at Cyber Dragon Nova, has specifically 2100 attack, and so does Infinity. So once you have successfully summoned them, you do have the ability through Nashta to bring them back. The only issue is, because it is restricted to a level 1, it does restrict you more to link plays, and because it locks you into machines, it makes it a little bit harder to then link summon from that point on, because your main machine link is, of course, going to be Yugioh. And the whole idea behind that is that Yugioh is then going to be able to utilise its effect. So the reason Nashta is at 2 is you want to be using Nashta as a recursion card rather than a early game extending card. Because you're only going to be able to go into machines, the only real reason that Nashta will help you out is the ability to bring back a level 5 if you already have a level 5 on the board, which will then allow you to go obviously into Nova and then into Infinity, and then it will allow you to use Nashta and the Cyber Dragon you bring back off of Nova to make a Seagull, and that allow you to protect the rest of your monsters by boosting up their attacks. Other than that, like I said, it can bring back Infinity, and then you can just go Infinity into can bring back Nova, so then you can go Nova into Infinity, or it can bring back Infinity, so Infinity could actually absorb Nashta to give itself a material, and then you've already got a negate on board as well. So there's a lot of utility plays with Nashta, and the revival effect is obviously going to be very, very good, but in comparison to the rest of the cards, it's not as useful. And as you can see with here, like a standard kind of play you could do is Nashta could send hers will then get you an additional search, and you're good to go. So as long as you have a target in the graveyard, Nashta can revive the card it sends as well. So if you discard a Cyber Dragon, you can revive that exact Cyber Dragon as well. Continuing on, we've got 2 Galaxy Soldiers. This just helps you turbo out your Cyber Dragon plays. Now again, Galaxy Soldiers send hers. Hers will give you that Cyber Dragon, so you've got the discard fodder straight away for the second Galaxy Soldier, which can be very, very important as you plan to move your plays forward. And it means that technically you're not negging anything from your hand, because the Galaxy Soldier's discard material is already being searched by the hers. And then if you were to able to follow that up with a Nashta, this is where the plays start getting very interesting, because if you were able to follow that up with a Nashta discards something, brings back the level 5 that's just been discarded, and then of course you can do Cyber Dragon Nova, detach material, bring back another Cyber Dragon, and then straight away you have the ability of making 2 Infinities. Keep in mind you can only overlay on top Infinity once per turn, so it would mean the first summon you would want to try and make before you even attempt to use Nashta would possibly be for a Pallades, and then you make the Nashta, because only after you've used Nashta's effect does it lock you into machine monsters. That, of course, then means you've got 2 forms of disruption on the board. You've got a negate off of the back of your Infinity, and then you've got a bounce off the back of Pallades. So there are a couple of little techs you can keep in mind. Because I've built this deck predominantly to go second first off and then start adapting its plays, I do main deck the 1 Dino Wrestler Prankatops and of course the 1 Jizukuru, the Star Destroying Kaiju. Now the most important thing about Jizukuru is because it is a machine. So basically imagine this, what you do is you kaiju over, for example, a Dragoon that is not in the extra monster zone. You can then special summon down your Cyber Dragon and then contact fuse with the Jizukuru. Straight away taking away your opponent's 3300 beta and giving yourself a 2000 machine monster, and if they've got any more machines you're going to take them with you as well. On top of that, what you could then do is, as long as you've got a Cyber Dragon, you could then contact fuse with their Verte Anaconda in the extra monster zone and go into your very own Mega Fleet. Straight away giving you 2 fusion monsters at 2400 and of course 2000 attack to then pretty much be able to do a bit more damage, and you've broken your opponent's board. So that's where this comes in. Dino Rest of Pranktops, what makes him so good is the fact that you go second, as long as your opponent controls more monsters than you, you can special summon him at any point, as long as you haven't activated Nashta's effect. And then obviously off the back of that, Prankatops can either stay on the board, or if you've got a Cyber Dragon in hand, you can trigger Prankatops' effect to tribute himself to destroy a card that might stop or harm the, or even bait out an effect, and then bring down your Cyber Dragon to contact fuse. So all you've got to remember is that Cyber Dragon has to be the only card that gets summoned, whereas Prankatops is as long as your opponent controls more monsters. Moving on to the hand traps, we've got Triple Ash Blossom. Not much more needs to be said about this. It's probably because it's the most generic card right now. Other cards that could help utilise this deck a little bit more are stuff like Effect Veiler and of course Nibiru, as they are light monsters, so they can be used as fodder off of the Galaxy Soldier, which is also a reason that I like to play Ghost Ogre, purely because she is a light, but I just really have a fond for Ghost Ogre. I think it's such a good card that a lot of people undervalue and underrate, and it actually wins me more games than not, purely because my opponent forgets the card even exists. So, double Ghost Ogre, triple Ash Blossom, but they can be anything you want. Like I said at the start in the introduction of the video, I've tried to keep the budget down. I've tried to keep it as cheap as I possibly could, and I've tried to keep it as competitive as I possibly could with the budget in mind. So that's it for the monster lineup. Moving on to the spells. Again, pretty straightforward and simple on this lineup as well. All of the spells that you are using are there to utilize and to pretty much search you out your consistent factors of the deck, including, of course, your Cyber Dragons. So, for the spells, of course, we are playing triple Cyber Emergency. Add 1 light machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set, or Cyber Dragon monster from your deck. Well, keep in mind that a good chunk of your monsters are all Cyber Dragon monsters, so you've got those 4 right there. So you can search them out. You could also tech in some other light machines that can't be normal summoned or set if you wanted to, but 9 out of 10 you're just going to search out a Cyber Dragon. On another deterrent, if the activation of this card in its owner's possession was negated by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can discard a card and add it back to your hand, and you can only activate 1 Cyber Emergency per turn. So obviously if the activation was negated, you can activate it again. Then of course you've got Machine Dupe. Now the one magical thing about Machine Dupe is Cyber Dragon Hers and Cyber Dragon Core, both, even Nashta as well, both have less than 500 attack. I don't think Nashta, yeah, Nashta does 200. So, because they become Cyber Dragon on the field, if you were to activate Machine Duplication on a Core or a Nashta, that will then allow you to bring out 2 Cyber Dragons rather than having to bring out 2 more Cores or 2 more Herses. That's where it gets incredibly exciting, because straight away, off of a normal summon that search you out a Cyber Machine card, and then a Machine Dupe that's been able to get you 2 more Cyber Dragons, you have the ability to go straight into an Infinity before you've even made your 5th summon. Not to mention that if you have any further extensions from that play on, you can then increase your chances therefold. Keeping in mind that just by making the Infinity off of the back of that play, you have the ability of detaching a material to revive a Cyber Dragon. That in turn will allow you to link with, of course, your Core or your Hers and go into a Link 2, being IP Masquerena or, of course, your Verte Anaconda. And that just keeps your plays going further forward. Again, because we've decided to go second with this build and we want to try and keep it as budget as possible, I've gone with 2 Mystic Mines and a Terraforming. Now, the only reason I've gone with Mystic Mine and a Terraforming is it is a very nice budget option to, of course, Forbidden Droplet. Now, what I mean by this is as long as you stop your opponent's effects going off, if you wanted to side in Dark Ruler no more, you could. What this allows you to do is this allows you to lock down the specific opponent's deck. So if you're looking at Dragon Links, for example, they've got very few, if any, back row that can deal with Mystic Mine. So as soon as you shut Mystic Mine down on them, you know they're not going to be able to break it. So even if they've got a board of Dragoon, Appaloosa, Heavenly Spheres, anything like that, if you've managed to negate them or you've managed to stop them in one way or not, or even bait out the effects, you can lock them under Mystic Mine while you take your time regaining your resource until you no longer want Mystic Mine on the board. And that is where you make your Rampage Dragon, because Rampage can pop face up spells and traps on the field. So it just allows you to go, right, cool, get rid of my own Mystic Mine, do the damage that I need to do, and if I haven't won the duel from that point on, I still have the ability to lock my opponent under a second Mystic Mine. Or, of course, you can set a Mystic Mine on top of a Mystic Mine and completely lock it down. So it's absolutely fine, gets the job done, does everything it needs to. And it's just a very big deterrent and a very big lockout for a deck like this. So when you're going budget and you're trying to control the state after going second, you need to be able to play whatever card you can. Now, of course, if you have Droplet, then Droplet takes up these 3 spots straight away. Moving on to the generic one-offs that we play a lot of, we've got Harpy's Feather Duster just to deal with that back row all in one go. Reasoning, you play, including the hand traps, you play 1s, 2s, 3s and 5s. So playing Reasoning gives you a very high chance of actually getting a free extender, and that free extender can then help you go into Nova Infinity, or of course it can help you make your Link Climb plays as well. You've got the one Cyber Repair Plant, of course searchable off of core, and then this one is if a Cyber Dragon is in your graveyard, you can activate one of these effects, and if you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons in your graveyard, at activation you can activate both effects, resolving in sequence. So you get to add 1 Light Machine monster from your deck to your hand. That is how you get Galaxy Soldier for consistency. You can target 1 Light Machine monster in your graveyard and shuffle that target into the deck for recursion. Now obviously the idea is that core straight into Almirage after searching off Repair Plant, activate Repair Plant, that will then allow you to search out your Galaxy Soldier, and as long as you've got the lights in the hand to discard, you're going to be able to make your Infinity as well. Another Cyber Dragon card that you can search is Cyber Load Fusion. So you get to fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck that lists a Cyber Dragon monster as material by shuffling the fusion materials listed on it into the deck from among your cards on the field and or face up banish cards. But monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of this turn except that monster. Now, it's just purely a quick play effect that allows you to recur your banished resource, but the chances are the card you're going to go to more times than not is going to be your Overload Fusion, because this can of course come off of the back of your Verte Anaconda, and that's going to allow you to go into your Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, which, as you all should know by now if you play Cyber Dragons, allows you to take up to at least 3 attacks and destroys a lot of back row. Another fusion spell that I've put in as a little bit of a tech just to try it out, but could easily come out for Red Eyes Fusion if you want to go the Dragoon route and make it as more competitive, is the Greater Poly. Now the reason I've gone with this is because specifically all of your fusions, but mainly the one you're going to go into, requires 2+ Cyber Dragon monsters. So as long as I've got a Nashta, a Hers and a core on board, or a Nashta, a Hers and a Cyber Dragon, I can activate Greater Poly. Now the issue with Greater Poly is it requires monsters to be on your field or hand, but the card you summon cannot be destroyed by card effects, and it does piercing battle damage. So what that allows you to do is that allows you to make your Rampage Dragon becomes 2100, which is perfectly fine, but it then can't be destroyed. When it is summoned, you then get to target spells and traps on the field up to a number of fusion materials, which will be normally 3, and then get to destroy them. On top of that, it can send 2 Light Machine monsters to attack 2 more times, so it gets 3 attacks. And on top of that, you're then going to be able to say, right, I'm going to do piercing damage as well. So if this isn't going to win you the game outright just by attacking 3 times, it's going to have the ability to attack and do a lot of piercing damage as well. Moving on, we've got the 1/1-for-1, because of course Hers and Nashta can all come off the back of this, and you discard a Cyber Dragon to the graveyard. Foolish Burial, send Hers, search out Cyber Dragon, nice. Rev System, a searchable Monster Reborn that protects. And then of course you've got your Monster Reborn, which just lets you revive absolutely anything, as long as it's been successfully summoned. And then finally, of course, we've got the Cybernetic Overflow. Love this card, but because we're predominantly designed to go second with this particular deck, Overflow is only being used at 1. Now, once you side out and start to go first, you can put it up to 2 if you want to. But what makes this so good is you banish Cyber Dragons with different levels from your hand, face-up field, and or graveyard, then destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. If this card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, you get to add a cyber spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So see, the idea is, again, Nashta and Hers are level 1s, Core is a level 2, Cyber Dragon is a level 5. So you banish them, you set yourself up for your Cyber Load Fusion plays, you then put them all back into the deck, you're good to go for your materials yet again. And that is it for the extra deck. Again, pretty straightforward and simple on that one. A lot of one-offs, which is why we're not playing cards such as Pot of Desires anymore in this particular build. But what you could do, and I'm about to show you a couple of alternatives of other cards that you could be running to kind of help you gain consistency, gain momentum, and also pretty much gain an advantage if you have them. Now, these are obviously more cost-expensive cards, but they are expensive for a particular region. But like I said, with this build, we've tried to go as budget as possible. So if you do have them, you can put them in, of course, Pot of Prosperity, a consistent draw card. You're going to be able to control what you banish from your deck whenever you want. And then you're going to be able to look from the top 6 cards of your deck and choose one particular card that is going to help you extend. Whether that be a Kaiju, whether that be a Cyber Dragon, anything like that allows you to move your plays further forward. Forbidden Droplet, of course, already talked about this one, alongside Nibiru the Primal Being. And then for the extra deck, of course, we've got the Underworld of the Goddess. I just really like it right now. I think you should definitely be picking one up at about 20 quid, where some places are, and you can use it from there. And then, of course, we've got Axis Code and Dragoon. Now, obviously, if you go the Dragoon route, of course, it's going to be a little bit better because you're going to be able to go Infinity plus Dragoon. But with Dragoon sitting at around 60 to 70 quid right now, it doesn't really fit within the budget criteria of this particular profile. And then, of course, you've got your Access Code Talker. Now, your Access Code Talker, again, is one of your Mac Daddy boss monsters that by climbing up through your Link monsters, you're going to have a card that's going to be incredibly powerful that can then banish to destroy, non-target, and pretty much gives you the wins from that route rather than going through the fusion route. Now, of course, as you can see, these are all expensive cards, so that is why they've been left out of this particular budget option. But if you have them, and like I said, you want to upgrade, these are some of the options you can use. For the extra deck, we'll go over the XYZs first because we are playing 2 Cyber Dragon Infinity alongside 2 Cyber Dragon Nova. Quite straightforward and simple on this one. The idea is that you're going to make Nova go into Infinity, but Nova in this particular version is a little bit generic. Is your well, a little bit better than just your standard go into Infinity plays. Is it can revive your Cyber Dragon, which then gives you instigation plays for either Link Summoning going further, or of course gives you the ability to absorb it as a material to bring back to add on to your Infinity. But then why would you detach in the first place? So keep that in mind. Another thing with Nova as well is if it is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effects, if it gets in the beard or anything like that, you can special on a machine type fusion monster from your extra deck for pretty much free. And that, of course, will be your invoked Macabre, because then you're giving yourself a free negation, which is why it's really important. Now, one thing you've got to keep in mind is once you've summoned it that way, you cannot bring it back because it is being special summoned. It is not being successfully fusion summoned. So don't do this and then try and do Nashta to bring it back, because technically that is an illegal play. But it is something to consider, especially when you look at some of our old builds, especially Chris's one where he played the Invoked engine. That's where this becomes more consistent, because then your normal summon no longer becomes core, it becomes Alistair, and then off of the back of Alistair, you're then going to be able to summon out Macabre, and then link Macabre off and bring it back later on with Nashta. Continuing on with our fusion monsters, of course, you've got your 1 Chimeratech Fortress. If your opponent is foolishly playing machines, you are going to contact fuse with as many of them as possible and make yourself a fortress, getting 1,000 attack for each. So it requires Cyber Dragon plus 1 or more machine type monster. This monster cannot be used as fusion material. You can only special summon this card from your extra deck by sending the above cards from either side of the field to the graveyard. You do not use Polymerization. The original attack of this card becomes 1,000 times the number of fusion material monsters used to special summon it. Now, obviously, keep in mind, this was obviously going to be a little bit more useful during an Orcus format when their whole board was machines. You just went Cyber Dragon, Contact Fuse for like 4k. But again, what I mentioned about Contact Fuse is it is not an activated effect. You don't go, right, activation to Contact Fuse. You just go, right, Contact Fuse, use your opponent's monsters, and go from there. Which is also why Chimeratech Mega Fleet is an interesting card, purely because it requires 1 Cyber Dragon monster plus 1 or more monsters in the extra monster zone. So if you wanted to, you could special summon down a Cyber Dragon, normal summon down a Core, turn Core into Almirage, and then use your Cyber Dragon plus your Chimeratech plus the monster in your opponent's extra monster zone to make a 3600 Mega Fleet Dragon. But the idea is just to go special summon Cyber Dragon, not activating an effect, then use it to contact fuse with an Appaloosa that's on 3 or 4 negates or a Heavenly Spheres to make your Mega Fleet Dragon, and your opponent goes, yeah, cool, I've just lost one of my most important interruptions for my turn. It gains 1200 attack for each material used, and you do not use Polymerization. Finally, for the fusion monster, we've got the Chimeratech Rampage Dragon. It requires 2 or more Cyber Dragon monsters. A fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion materials. When this card is fusion summoned, you can target spells and traps on the field up to the number of fusion materials used for this fusion summon. Destroy them. Once per turn, you can send up to 2 light machine monsters from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, for each monster sent to the graveyard, this card can make 1 additional attack during the battle phase this turn. So of course it can attack 3 times, it's going to be 2100 attack, but you're also going to be sending your hers, you're also going to be able to set up your Cyber Dragon plays as well. Then for the link monsters, of course, we've got the one Salamangreat Almirage. This just gives you consistency to be able to go, right, okay, normal summon Core searches me out, Repair Plant, link Core into Almirage. Because I now have a Cyber Dragon in the graveyard, I can activate Repair Plant to get me a Galaxy Soldier. I can now make Infinity plays. Link Karibo, turn again your hers if you open it up, or a Nashta without using Nashta's effect. Keep that in mind. Again, this is just to put a Cyber Dragon in the graveyard. More so to normal summon hers, put it in the graveyard, get yourself a Cyber Dragon. But again, off the back of that, you need a way of getting Cyber Dragon to the board. Then, of course, for the link 2s, you've got your IP Masquerena. This is your budget alternative if you're not going into Dragoon. So for going first plays, doing the same combo, even without Nashta, you usually have the ability, like I said, to make a Infinity plus a link 2. Now, the link 2 you want to make will be IP Masquerena, purely because it is the most disruptive card that you can make going forward into your next turn. If you can't make Appaloosa because you've got Almirage stuck on the board, then you can make Sieger as well. But 9 times out of 10, you ideally go in second, because this is what we want to do with this deck. You want to make your Verte Anaconda, because then you've got Infinity, and then off of the back of that, you're going to send cards to make your Chimera Tech Rampage, and then Rampage is going to be able to clear off your opponent's back row and then pretty much help you attack the game alongside Infinity and of course Verte. Speaking of which, we do play the one Sieger, and then of course we've got the one Nightmare Unicorn and the one Appaloosa. Appaloosa, again, could easily become an Avramax if you wanted to, but it can also be upgraded into, of course, the Access Code Talker, and Unicorn can become Phoenix, it becomes Cerberus, or it can become the Heavenly Goddess as well, just to give you another edge on your opponent in order to pretty much take them to the wire and achieve your goal of winning the game with a budget Cyber Dragon deck. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for the list. It is quite a straightforward, simple list. It is, like I said, I've tried to maintain a budget for it, but Cyber Dragon does have a lot of tendency to become even stronger, depending on what other cards you want to add to it. Also, keep in mind that come June, we do get the brand new Cyber Style Structure deck, which will hopefully not only boost Cyber Dragon Darks, but will also boost Cyber Dragons in a general sense of providing them with a bit more involvement and a bit more kind of support cards as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the board state, and I'm going to show you a very, very basic, simple combo that is going to lead you into an Infinity plus a Verte Anaconda, or lead you into the ability of getting into a IP Masquerena as well. So let me reset the board state and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so now to show you two combos, very, very simple, very, very quick. The first combo is going to be your Cyber Dragon Core with Machine Dupe. This is going to end up getting you a Link 2, can't be IP Masquerena specifically, but it will get you a Link 2 plus Infinity plus a Cybernetic Overflow. So this is where Dragoon becomes even more important, because then it's Dragoon, Infinity and an Overflow. The other combo will be a 3-card combo including Cyber Dragon Core plus a Cyber Dragon Hers for discard fodder, and then you'll be getting into Galaxy Soldier through Cyber Dragon Core's play as well. So let's start you off with the very, very basic Cyber Dragon combo. Normal summon Cyber Dragon Core, effect to search. Now obviously on this one, because we're going maximum disruption, we're going with the overflow. You're then going to activate your machine duplication, and your machine duplication will go, yep, cool, that is Cyber Dragon on the board. I will give you 2 more Cyber Dragons. I'm going to bring everything down a little bit now so you can see kind of the core plays that we're going for. Machine Dupe will go into the graveyard. Yes, it's a bit of a downside because if they ash you, you do kind of cry a little bit inside, but you're able to continue. So what you're going to do from here is you're then going to turn your core into an Almirage just so you've got a Cyber Dragon in the graveyard. Very important on that one. And then what you're going to do here is you're going to overlay your Cyber Dragons, and you're going to go into a Nova. You're going to detach a material because you've got a Cyber Dragon in the graveyard. You can, of course, bring back Core, or you can just bring back your Cyber Dragon. Really doesn't matter. You're then going to overlay into your Infinity, and then you're going to link your Almirage together with your Cyber Dragon and go into a Verte Anaconda. Now, this is where it differs. If you're going aggression and you're going second, then you don't go for overflow. You can actually go for a little bit more. You could probably end up going into a Cyber Rev system, because that will bring you back a Cyber Dragon. Or, of course, you can go into a Cyber Load Fusion. As long as you can get your Cyber Dragons banished, that is one thing to keep in mind. Or, of course, you go for a Repair Plant. Repair Plant will give you a Galaxy Soldier, and then you're just putting more Galaxy Soldiers on the board, and you can link climb higher into, of course, your Unicorn, an Appaloosa, or a Seagull, or anything like that. But obviously, off the basis of this, if you're going defensive, you want Dragoon on this position. If you're not going defensive, then what you want to go and you want to go aggressive, then you're going to be using Verte Anaconda. You would have at least 2 Cyber Dragons in the graveyard unless you've brought them back off of effects. But then you'll also be able to use Galaxy Soldier's play as well, and that's going to fill up your graveyard. So it gives you a couple of little options to utilise around. That will then allow you to bring out your Rampage Dragon. And not to mention that if you've got more Cyber Dragons on board, you're good to go, because then what you do is you use your Galaxy Soldiers to make your Infinity, which I'll show you in the next combo anyway. So that a very basic combo. Obviously, off the back of that, you ideally want Dragoon, but obviously because we're going budget and you don't play Dragoon, then you're going for your Rampage, which is going to be even more aggressive. Now, the very, very basic combo is a 3-card combo, but again, it's not massively specific in the sense that your Galaxy Soldier you can easily search off of, and you can easily search off your Cyber Dragon Hers from Cyber Emergency as well. So what you do here is you normal summon your core. Core's effect will then go off to search you out your Cyber... Where are you? Cyber Repair Plant. And all you want to do here is you want to sack off your core to go into an Almirage. Then you can activate Repair Plant because you now have a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard in the form of core. That will then allow you to add a Light Machine monster. So that will let you add your Galaxy Soldier. You will then use Galaxy Soldier's effect to discard the Hers to summon itself. Trigger the Galaxy Soldier effect as Chainlink 1 and Hers as Chainlink 2. Chainlink 2 will add you the Cyber Dragon off of the back of Cyber Dragon Hers. Galaxy Soldier will add you Galaxy Soldier. You will then use this Galaxy Soldier's effect to discard the Cyber Dragon to overlay these two into, of course, a Nova. Nova can then use its effect to detach material and bring back any of your Cyber Dragons. So we're going to bring back Cyber Dragon himself. Then overlay that on top to make your Infinity. And then, of course, you've got a link to of Verte Anaconda here as well. The only difference is you've lost the Cyber Trap. But again, it all depends on what else you have in your hand, what else you search out. And then if this is a more aggressive version of the combo, again, off of 2 cards, you've still got 3 more cards to play around with. And you still have the ability to extend further should you need to before using Verte's effect if you're going offensive or defensive. So it gives you, again, the best of both. What more could you possibly want? Like I said, if you were to upgrade this deck, the first thing I would try to do, because you're already playing Verte Anaconda, is to get the Dragoon package. If you've been playing Cyber Dragons for a long time, you should already have it. If you don't already have it, then the nearest option that you could possibly go for would be that you need to play a little bit more defensively, and you need to look at other fusion monsters. What makes Dragoon so good and utilised in so many decks like this is the fact of its fusion spell, Red Ice Fusion, allowing you to fuse from the deck. So if you wanted to, arguably the closest next alternative you could play would be like Shaddoll Fusion or Ancient Gear Fusion, but then even then they're only getting you very, very specific alternatives, not exactly getting you a Dragoon. But if you don't have it at all and you're like, I refuse to play Cyber Dragons with Dragoon, absolutely fine. Then go more focus of what this build is like, which is pretty much I'm going second because I want to be as aggressive as I possibly can and work it that way instead. Anyway, I hope this profile's helped. I hope I've gone into enough depth for you guys as well, and I hope I've kept it within your budget in order for you guys to build it, play it, and pretty much destroy your locals with it. But for now, as absolutely always, guys, stay safe and happy dueling.